I wanna try and take in all the highs, embrace them for more than a moment's time. I want you, please don't move when I push you away. I know I contradict myself some days, but will you ride the lows with me?
Welcome to Mental Health News Radio. I am your host, Kristin Sunanta Walker. Our goal is to help discussions about mental health be a regular part of your daily life, no different than discussions about physical health. Mental illness can be a topic of discussion under the umbrella of mental health, along with so many other topics. This show is the original program on mentalhealthnewsradionetwork.com. Our network of shows are played in over 180 countries and cover more topics under that umbrella than you can possibly imagine. We were talking about mental health long before it became cool and popular to talk about, and thank goodness it has become so popular. We have incredible guests, advocates, patients, experts, people. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy our intro music, a song named Lows, written by Aubrey Toon. You can find her music at www.aubreytoone.com.
That night when I started praying, I cried, will you ride the lows with me? Will you ride the lows with me? When I'm down, my vision gets blurry.
Today I'm joined by Dr. Pamela J. Pine. She's an international health and development professional who has spent over 25 years focused on preventing and healing the impact of adverse childhood experiences, especially child sexual abuse. She's the founder of Stop the Silence, part of the Institute on Violence, Abuse, and Trauma, and the lead author of the best-selling book, Stop the Silence, Thriving After Child Sexual Abuse. Beyond her public work, she's also a professor, a poet, and a multimedia artist. You can learn more about her work at ivatcenters.org/stop-the-silence, or you can just Google Dr. Pamela J. Pine and she comes right up. Thanks for listening. Pamela J. Pine, thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me on the show. We try to get our information out, and I love these kinds of free-flowing conversations. So I'm souped up, as they say.
Well, I did. I've got your book, Stop the Silence, on Audible, and I listened to it on my morning walks. And wow. What a profound collection of many voices that, I don't know, maybe it's probably because it's you that they were doing this with and your own stories as well. But how, I always look at how comfortable people were with their revealment, and they were real comfortable and with your container, which is a compliment.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. They were really comfortable. And there were no issues with, oh my gosh, should I say this? Shouldn't I say this? What is so-and-so going to think? There was none of that. Mm. And that speaks to the honesty and the bravery of the people who wrote the stories. Because as I know, this is not easy stuff for people to initially reveal on an ongoing basis. It comes to the gut and the core of one of the bad things that made you, and that you had to work really hard to move forward from. So I was really proud of everybody. They did a great job, and it was very honest. And I think also, that section at the back of every story, the practice, They really went all out in trying to identify what helped them to move on from surviving to thriving. And it helps survivors to heal, because everybody had different suggestions and information that affected them. But it also helps the practitioners get the information that they need to help others move forward and move on. It's interesting to me, Chris, that so many practitioners still really don't have this information, and therefore obviously cannot impart it to the people that they're trying to assist. Partly it's not only information, it's deep down understanding of what has happened with what has happened to these people and the effect that it has had on their lives. And they need that information. So this book also is meant for them, for the practitioners who are trying to help other people, whether they be pediatricians or psychologists or social workers or other types of therapists.
Or even
it's really
peer counselors. I mean,
absolutely, exactly,
creatives,
exactly.
artists, everybody along the line. This is
right.
So much excellent information. How have you seen? I mean, I started talking about things like sexual abuse when I was 12, and that was 1982. And that was certainly not met with any welcome mat anywhere I went. And I don't know, I guess just the burning desire for my own healing or my own trying to get to homeostasis around what happened in my life. I just did it anyway. It could be the autism that I didn't know about. Who knows? Who knows what it was? That part isn't really that important to me anymore. It's more that this deep need that many of us feel to go and kind of alchemize what happened to us and turn it into how can we make what happened before us? And that's a very trippy, hard excavation for anyone to embark on. So, what are your thoughts about that journey?
I've seen it come out in different ways for people. And at the same time, I've seen repeating patterns from person to person to person. There's some core issues that I think are very, very difficult to struggle with. One of them being shame. I never, before I started doing all this, I never thought about shame being such a crippler. And I'm purposefully using that word because it really is.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, shame at the core of things brings out guilt, embarrassment, fear, disillusion. And so I've seen people come through this process, always with struggle, frankly, sometimes less and sometimes more. I've seen both men and women have to focus on critical areas of their life, from their the physical bodies and the amount of impact that has had on the physical bodies of people is enormous. From basic ailments and internal organ issues and chronic disease and cancer. So I've seen those kinds of things. And then the impact psychologically on people, from bipolar disorder to narcissism, to depression, anxiety, and some of them really impactful. I mean, I've seen some less and some more of us, as I've said, but it's always been impactful and at the center of their lives, and the effect on their families, their core families, their initial families, but also obviously their relationships. The issue of how do you trust anyone after the person who's supposed to be protecting you has hurt you in such fundamental ways? How do you then make the connection to practically anyone? That's a tough road, and it's a tough hurdle to get over. But then there's working through all those other things that happen to you psychologically and physically. And, I've been involved with a lot of survivors at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, probably thousands of conversations. And if I think about it, and I'm honest with you and your listeners, it can bring me to tears, because and I can get there fairly easily. I'm not going to do it here. I'm not going to do it. But when I think of some of the people that I've known, the impact on their lives, psychologically, physically, mentally, socially, in terms of their families, in terms of the families that they create, and economically, their ability to concentrate and go to school well, their ability to concentrate and go to work well, or find a job at all, or maintain that job, has an effect on them financially as well. I have said this numerous times, and I mean this. I'm not a survivor. I'm a public health professional who is absolutely appalled at what is going on and has been going on. But I believe that had that happened to me, I would be stark raving mad.
I thought about when I was reading your book, because I always look for that, like where does the author have this connection? And I thought, there's something to be said for being a survivor of all the stories that you've been told.
Yes. The stories, just for clarification, the stories that the people who are survivors have been told. Is that what you mean?
That's what I meant. Yes.
Yeah,
The stories
yeah.
that you've heard
Right.
from other people, because it's a lot. And
It is, yes.
And it takes a level of, I don't know, like sometimes I feel in a lot of ways we're just scratching around in the dark to figure out what is wrong with me. And we're not attributing it to like this truckload of trauma that we went through, but we're still scratching around like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong? Well, okay, let's focus on what's right with you, because we're not going to clear out any of that fog if we keep going down the shame road, which just brings in more fog. But then having people around where it doesn't matter whether they've experienced exactly what you have or not, it's all about who had a big enough availability to be a container for those kinds of stories too. I always think about that as well. I didn't need to have been through all the things that I'd heard from other people. I just needed to be a witness to it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that the survivors themselves, what they've been through, and the fact that they've come out on the other side or getting to the other side is almost amazing, because it is a truckload. It's an absolute truckload of impact on and an assault, on their psychology, on their physical beings, on every part of them, on their relationships. I mean, I know, and I'm sure you do too, know people who, having come out with this information about their lives, have lost their entire family. One fell swoop, gone. It was their fathers. It was their father. I'm thinking of one person in particular right now, but there are a lot of them. It was their father. They told their sisters, they told their mother, everybody disappeared. There's no more Christmas. There's no more holidays. There's no more Thanksgiving. They're gone. They're gone. And so they have to recreate their lives because the sense of familial shame. Well, if this happened in my family, what does that say about me, the mom? What does that say about our family? Let me just get rid of that. What does that say about us? What does that say to our community where we live about us? And so they erase the person who has reported.
Yep.
And in the attempt to not have to deal with it at all, it's tough. I mean, I have had, as I'm sure we all have had, people who are working in this or around it, moments of, I think I need to stop.
Yeah.
I think this is enough. I think that I've heard too much. I think that this has become a center of my being. And is that where I want to sit? Do I want to sit in that? And over and over and over, I've come back at eventually, of course, I will move out of it eventually. But I always come back to, this is such a grave problem, and it's so big. The thing that got me originally was, you're kidding. The numbers, 1 out of 4 girls.
Yeah.
And approximately 1 out of 6 boys, even if it's 1 out of 16 boys. Those numbers were, I mean, if this was any other problem, and I've said this for 25 years, it was anything else. I'm talking sexual abuse here, not only, not all the necessarily other adverse childhood experiences or ACEs, but there's that, of course, on top of all this.
Yep.
But those numbers, 25% of girls by the time they're 18 years, if it was any other problem, and I mean it, whether it was tuberculosis or
anything,
viral disease, anything, any other disease or malfunction, the CDC, NIH, DHHS, they'd be all over it because it would be branded as what it is, a massive epidemic. And for 25 years, I've been looking to find the money to address the enormity of the problem. But it's not there because nobody wants to deal with it.
I wonder, there's so many things that, and I'm on that quest too, to find out, and we will get there. I do believe that we will get there and figure out what were the core tenets for making sure that this stayed as buried as possible. We'll find that out. I mean, we know a lot of them already, but we will find out some other juicy nuggets not too long from now as to why this was the big thing to bury above all others. Why was this the biggest thing to bury? And that's coming.
There is historical. Actually, we put some history together at one point a long time ago. And child rights actually came out of animal rights. I don't know if you know that. It started as the framework to address child rights came out of the framework to address animal rights. So there's ownership, children as property, and there's a whole mess of other indicators and activities that took place to entrench this issue as basically a non-issue. I mean, for a very, very long time, it's begun to change, but certainly not enough. For a very, very long time, you enter into a family, and what you're told is, my children, my right to do what I want with my children. This is my family. Get out of my home. Get out of my life. You don't have any jurisdiction here. So that's a good part of it. And then as I say, the shame element and the number of people who are in power, who have done this. I mean, sound familiar? I mean, the number of people involved in this stuff at very, very high levels is very, very real. from politicians to priests to school teachers. The power issue is a major, major issue. Power and control. And there you've got it. I mean, I did a training. We did a training. Stop the Silence did a training in 2008. And it was supported by the Department of Justice. And it was a wonderful, really, really well planned out and implemented training for judges and other court-related personnel. It went really well. It was a 3.5-day training. We held it over at the University of Maryland in College Park in one of their large rooms. And we had judges from Maryland, D.C., and Virginia. And we had guardian ad litems, and we had lawyers and psychologists, and we had the best of the best presenting in the morning. Victor Veith, and we had Vince Paletti, and we had other names like that. I mean, if you don't know those names, just Google them. 5,000 things will come up. And in the afternoon, we held roundtables, and each table had various types of people involved. They were the judges and lawyers and the GALs and the psychologists, child psychologists, other psychologists. And I sat at a table. It still blows me away to this day to think about it. I sat at a table with a judge and various other people. We were about, 7 or 8 people at the table. And after listening to all of the best minds in this country and the best researchers and the best practitioners, a judge sat there and said to us all, "I don't believe it." Just dismissed it. "I don't believe it. It doesn't happen in my courtroom." And I said, "Well, maybe maybe you're not recognizing it happening in your courtroom. But it is happening." This was, there were, the issue of children's family court. I mean, you probably are familiar with what's going on in the family courts in all of this country. And these were not only family courts, but the fact that this happens so often and is so often brought forward in various types of courts, certainly the family court system, it's impossible for judges not to be seeing this in their courtroom. And so how do you then bring it to power? How do you get power to recognize what's going on when with a wave of their hand, it's gone?
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't have that answer, except honestly, figuratively speaking, to smack people over the head with it.
I think I've been on this journey a long, long time. I'm 55 and, things popped open for me with me speaking a truth about what was going on at home when I was 12. But things were going on before that got me to the point where I went, I have to say something because it's going to get really bad if I don't say something now. And I'm glad that I knew that. But I really think now, going through the journey, oh my God, how many times have I spoken about this? How many times have I written about this? How many shows have I done? Some of the Bill Cosby survivors, and just so many people, men and women, about this. And one could get very heavy-hearted at what looks like a lack of progress, right?
Absolutely.
I feel like, in whatever measurement my innate wisdom is, it's great for me. That's all I care about, is the reason why things are so loud right now against a lot of things is because they're starting to see their end date, their expiration date. And that's what I see in it. And this is coming from lots of no, shut up, be quiet, moves made behind my back that unraveled work I had been doing for years, and I didn't know why and where and when and who would do this. And then later found out, I touched on a subject they really didn't want me to be talking about with such clarity,
Right.
But I am seeing that. I am seeing this kind of change in terms of what is bubbling up underneath that's always been here is starting to scare the powers that be. And that's why the clamps are kind of whatever are coming on. And it just means that we are frothing with the possibility of this getting to another level of awareness, which is so exciting. That's exciting.
And I do think things have changed. A couple of anecdotes. When I started this, and it was 25 years ago now, just about exactly 25 years ago, I would pick up the phone and I'd call someone who worked for a company where I was looking for support, monetary or otherwise. Hello, my name is Dr. Pamela Pine. I'm the CEO of Stop the Silence, Stop Child Sexual Abuse. Could I talk with X, Y, and Z? And this woman who had picked up the phone, and now those are days that we're not talking on cell phones where where the speaker's on. We're talking about handheld phones here, and this made such impression because nobody could hear her, and she lowered her voice as if she was talking about something really, really shameful that nobody could even think that she might be a party to in terms of the conversation. And that was really interesting because she didn't have to say child sexual abuse. She just needed to address my request.
Right.
That's one story. That was really early on. Now, there's a couple of other really interesting stories to show how it has changed, because that was the norm 25 years ago. Verizon is my carrier for my internet. And so I was on the phone one day calling up Verizon, something needed to be fixed or whatever it was. And they said, "Oh, Stop the Silence. What is that?" And I said, "Oh, we work on the prevention, treatment, and mitigation of child sexual abuse and other adverse childhood experiences as well." And he said, "That is fantastic. Good for you. I'm really, really happy to hear somebody's addressing that." That wouldn't have happened 25 years ago.
God, no. It would have been crickets and silence and how quickly can we get this crazy woman off the phone?
Exactly. That's exactly right. And then I was planning, even in the interim, this was the Race to Stop the Silence was a major advocacy event that I had put together. And it went from 2004 to 2013, 10 years of literally running through the streets of Washington, D.C. with Stop the Silence, Stop Child Sexual Abuse on their backs. It was a 5K, 10K, and then a 5K, 8K because of redistribution, reorientation of the paths in Washington, D.C. But I was on a train going back from D.C. to Bowie, Maryland, and I'm on a train and I'm in the middle of planning this event for whatever year it was. And I get on the phone, "Hello, Pamela Pine, calling from Stop the Silence, Stop Child Sexual Abuse, da 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 da." Next call, "Pamela Pine, calling from Stop the Silence, Stop Child." And the guy, how there's 4 seats, and you're facing, 2 people are facing 2 people, and then there's an aisle, and then there's the same thing across the aisle. The guy across from me said, "Will you stop talking?" The guy across the aisle from me addresses the guy in front of me. I thought they were going to get into a fight. He says, "You're not in a quiet car, and she can say anything she wants to say, but you can leave."
Wow.
I know, it was a wow moment.
Isn't that a trip? Wait, because I'm going to tell you this, just whatever. It's a side note. Sorry, listeners. This is important for me to say to Pamela right now. I remember I was on an airplane it was before COVID. So it was probably 2017. And the plane was packed and I wasn't someone that needed to rush off to get to a connection. I was done. So, the pileup starts, right? And the girl across from me, people just kept whizzing past her and whizzing past her, just would not stop and let her freaking get out of her seat. So I went whop with my hand across the aisle and literally made some dude go, ugh. I mean, I didn't hit him. He ran into me. But I literally just put it on the back of her seat and said, ma'am, you go right ahead. And it was so interesting because I was like, that is what I've been doing my whole life, is that kind of thing, which you have too. But what was so cool was the girl got about halfway up the aisle and she turned around with tears in her eyes. Oh, makes me want to cry. And she goes, thank you. No one has ever done that for me in my entire life. No one. So thank you. And then she gave me the biggest hug and she ran off the plane crying. And I was like, I get it. So it's interesting how on this journey, how that's what we've both been doing. We've both been going, hold up.
Yeah.
Give her space. Let her move. Stop pretending she's not there and that it's not her turn to move.
Right. Yeah, I've also brought up the following over years and years, and getting back a little bit to what we were talking about. Why aren't we dealing with this? Why?
Yeah.
And I grew up at a time when the phrase breast cancer was an absolute taboo thing to get out of. You just didn't say it. Nobody
or
said
you went, cancer.
The C. She's got the C word. Yeah. And so that has changed. And it was a group of women really who ultimately fought against the social norms of the day and refused to allow the situation to go on, demanded that there was more breast cancer research, and it is now a household phrase.
Yep.
It's breast. You can say breast anywhere. You can say breast cancer. You can put that on television. You can talk about the treatments of it. You can talk about self-identification. You can talk about all of that. The same thing happened with HIV. It was taboo. It was a non-starter. It was a runaway thing. It was the gay plague until Elizabeth Taylor and Princess Diana stepped into it. And what I've been saying about this issue for 25 years is that why have we not been able to step into it in the same way? And that goes back, unfortunately, to the shame issue. Somebody, and I won't mention the names because there's no reason to put them on camera. It's not fair to them because they aren't here. But there are a whole host of celebrities who have come out and talked about their own sexual abuse as a child.
Yep.
But there's a difference here. They don't want to be talking about horrible memories on the late night shows. They want to be talking about their films. So there's a difference in terms of texture between HIV, breast cancer, and child sexual abuse. But the same thing needs to happen. However it happens, whoever can make it loud enough to make it acceptable to speak about, and that has been begun. Yeah. I mean, one more anecdote, and I'll stop. I mean, I used to do a lot of booths for Stop the Silence. This is information, and this is what we do, and that kind of thing. And there was a young woman who walked up to the table and said, "Hi, I'm a survivor." Now that was a new one too.
Oh, so yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
To come with it like, I'm a survivor.
Yeah, and here I am. And here I am, and thanks for doing it. But, and a whole host of people, not just me by a long stretch, but a whole host of organizations and individuals have been saying if all of the survivors of child sexual abuse, adult survivors, actually got vocal, there are more than 55 million adult survivors of child sexual abuse in the United States. Can you imagine what would happen. And I do recognize, I'm not dismissing why they haven't. I recognize why they haven't, the shame, the guilt, the all, ostracization, all that kind of stuff. But if we got to a point to make it acceptable to say, I have breast cancer, can we get to a point to make it acceptable to say, I'm a survivor of child sexual abuse? How do we get there? So, that's what I'm aiming for while educating various populations to know how to treat it, to deal with it, and all of that kind of stuff. We have, if I might tell your audience about, it's truly an incredible program. I'm really proud of it. We developed a program. It's online. It's at your own pace. It's highly affordable. It is taught by the top experts in the field, a certificate to master's degree in child trauma and protection. We have only received accolades for the people who've taken it. We're currently going into cohort 8 on the certificate, and that new class starts on September 15th. Registration closes on September 12th. But it's truly fantastic. It's truly comprehensive. And everybody, whether they've been and we've had all these people, lawyers, doctors, educators, nurses, community service workers, social workers, therapists, we've had it all. Without exception, they've said this was absolutely amazing, gave me a new perspective, and I'm doing things differently as a result. And you can take that information and go on to the master's degree if you so choose. Also highly affordable, same thing, same format, online at your own pace. I come in 4 different times. At the very beginning, after the first course, there are 3 courses. After the first course, after the second course, and at the second course, the students who are enrolled present to each other 15-minute PowerPoint on an area that they are concerned about and deeply involved with and want to see change in. And then I come out in after the third course, after the second, yeah. And at the very end, I come in again for a wrap up, and that's all live and on Zoom. So it's available to anyone, literally anywhere in the world, and we adjust prices for the Global South, severely adjust prices for the Global South. So there's that. And we also have other educational programs through something called the Transformational School, which is part of Brave Healer Productions. And we also have classes on the Great Discovery. It's also thegreatdiscovery.com. All this is easily findable on the web. And if you're interested in our books, there is Stop the Silence, Thriving After Child Sexual Abuse. It's available on Amazon. You can just Google, not Google, but search Stop the Silence, Thriving After Child Sexual Abuse. And we have very, very recently in June, Brave Healer Productions published a children's book, a children's stories. It's the 3rd volume. It's Brave Kids, Volume 3. And I was specifically requested to write a children's story dealing with these issues. So there is, I think it's chapter 20 or 21, I don't remember, but it's called The Squishies and Squooshes Shared Secret, about 2 twin froglets that encounter this problem. And so it's for parents to read before they go to their kids and then read it out loud, being prepared to answer questions and having the information that they need to talk about this issue. And what the publisher said publicly was that had she had that story, her family would not have gone through what her family did. So I'm really proud of the story because it's very, story like realistic. I mean, what happens to those froglets is what happens. Yeah, and they do get protected. So
It's amazing how, I mean, this is why writing and speaking and telling story and making something awful into a story in language that it can be wrapped in so that you can safely hear the truth about something that might
right,
land within what you're experiencing. Because
right.
what I had was Grease and sitting with a friend in the movie theater at 8, I think, and going, "Does your daddy kiss you like Danny kisses Sandy?" And the reaction on her face was, "No." And that was that literally, and the abuse had been going on for years, but that literally was the pivotal moment where I went, maybe something's really messed up about what's going on. So to think about reading a book about little froglets and having it spelled out in a way that your child brain can understand and hear it and whatever, and not have it come through a movie has nothing, that has all kinds of other themes that were not fantastic and some that were amazing. That was like a movie of my childhood, so I'm not putting it down. But just to be able to, I don't know, the thought of having something like that when I was a little kid would have just been like, what?
Right, exactly. And this book is aimed at 6 to 12-year-olds. So a parent should identify the appropriateness
Yeah.
for their kid, what's the developmental level that they're at. But I think it does a really, really good job of helping parents and therefore their children wake up to the possibilities and what needs to happen and what can happen and how to protect themselves and all those kind of things. Yeah.
Well, my hat goes off to you with the amount of dedication that you've put towards this. I mean, this is your life's work.
It is. It is. And when people say you've made such a difference, I say thank you. And it's never enough. And it's certainly not enough now. We need people to talk. We need people in whatever walk of life you're in. I'm not saying go to the next cocktail party, which I used to say I could clear in 5 minutes.
Oh
I'm
God, yeah, I have.
not.
I've had people leave my presence
Right, exactly.
times.
I'm not, I'm saying, there are appropriate times to
Right.
bring it up and not bring it up. But if we cannot talk about this, it is basically accepting the status quo. And
Yeah.
the status quo is not okay. It's simple, not easy, but simple.
100%. Okay. Dr. Pamela J. Pine, can you please tell everyone where they can find out about you and all the work that you do?
Yeah, please. Thank you. Thank you. Stop the Silence was a freestanding organization that I started. And in 2021, it became a department of the Institute on Violence, Abuse, and Trauma. The mothership is located in San Diego. The website is HTTPS, of course, www, all that kind of stuff. And then it is ivatcenters.org. And I'm going to spell that, it's a little long, IVAT centers with an S.org. And then if you're specifically looking for the Stop the Silence page, you put a slash, and then you put stop dash the dash silence, and it'll go straight to us. And you can look at our programs, our history, our focus, our vision, and all that kind of stuff. The books, both Stop the Silence, Thriving, and Volume 3 of Brave Kids, are on Amazon. And you can reach out to me directly, and I'd be more than happy to have you do that at Pamela P, PAMELA at ivatcenters.org. I have a personal it's a personal speaking website. I do speak. The speaking doesn't come to me. The money doesn't come to me. It goes to IVAT so that we can fund programs. And that is drpamelajpine.com. It's, the HTTPS and all that kind of stuff, but drpamelajpine.com. And you can book me through that site. It's being edited right now, but it's functional and all that. So yeah, I anything that we can do, that I can do to help you, whoever you are, move forward in this campaign and this mission, please just let me know. If you just want to set up a time to talk, I've got a Calendly link that I don't have. You can, if you write to me.
Find it by going to your, and I will say this. I mean, I literally just went into ChatGPT, or you can do it in a browser as well. And you just type in Pamela J. Pine and you come up clearly immediately. So there's no reason for people not to be able to find you. So fantastic for that. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Internet.
Yeah. And thank you, Chris. I appreciate all of your efforts to get this stuff out there and bring people along with you.
Yeah, it's necessary. Oh my gosh. Okay. Pamela, thank you so much. We're going to stay on and talk for a couple minutes after, but in terms of our time on this particular episode, and I hope it's the first of many, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And listeners,
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Mental Health News Radio.
Autism, advocacy, education, unfiltered. If you want real conversations with people who get it, tune in to All Abilities No Filter, hosted by specialists and advocates who live this work every day. We're not here to talk around issues, we're here to talk through them. New episodes streaming now everywhere you find your podcast. Come be a part of the conversation. All Abilities No Filter is brought to you by Springbrook Autism Behavioral Health.
Will you ride the low, low, lows with me? Will you ride the low, low, lows with me?
One thing you can always count on at Mental Health News Radio Network and my show is that there will always be dogs around. Why? They are natural healers, excellent for your mental health. The original therapy dog Miles has something to say in just a moment. For now, please check out all of our amazing shows at mentalhealthnewsradionetwork.com and all your favorite podcast apps. Until next time, I'm Kristin Sunanta Walker, and thank you for listening.
Me tonight, and I can ride the low, low, lows with me.